So, who should control the Army? Should it be the national government or should it be state governments? And in Federalist number 25, Alexander Hamilton is going to answer this question with some rather brutal honesty. If you divide defense, you will destroy it. And so the safety of a free people demands on a single national authority, not 13 competing ones. I'm Matt Hasquin, and we're going through the Federalist Papers one by one, all 85 of them in order, and we're up to number 25. Critics of the Constitution wanted the states to control their own militias, and they wanted them even to maintain their own small armies because they feared that a centralized military could lead to tyranny. And Hamilton says, wow, that idea is not just dangerous, it's actually suicidal. Because history, geography, and then reason will all show that defense divided by borders is defense that is effectively doomed by jealousy. Hamilton has a pretty clear thesis here. He says the power of raising armies as well as providing fleets ought to exist without limitation. But, and this is crucial, that power must rest with the national government because danger is never local. If the Union were to ever face invasion, the enemy wouldn't stop to ask which state's border that it crossed. So Hamilton reminds readers that America's long coastline and exposed frontiers make it impossible to assign defense regionally. New York's security depends on New Jersey's ports. Virginia's defense affects the Carolinas, and one weak link endangers the entire chain. And he'll write, the principal part of our danger would be on the seacoast and frontiers, and that those cannot be protected piecemeal. Hamilton imagines what would happen if each state managed its own army. You'd have jealousies, you'd have competition for resources, and border disputes that would eventually escalate into armed tension. And he warns that the states might even turn their weapons against each other, and instead of unity, you'd get a patchwork of rival military powers, which would become just another Europe on American soil. And so the Constitution's goal would be to prevent that nightmare. Hamilton uses logic, and he uses, it's kind of like sharp as a sword kind of thing, because he doesn't mince words here. He says, if each state must depend on itself, then the richest or most threatened states will bear the heaviest burden. He says that's not justice, it's actually imbalance. Because national defense, like taxation or law, must be shared equally across all citizens. And he writes again, the means of security ought to be in the hands of those who have the greatest interest in the public safety. That's the people, acting through the Union. Now, Hamilton argues that waiting for Congress to get permission from every state in a time of war is absurd. Danger doesn't send advance notice. If invasion or insurrection strike, the federal government must be able to act immediately. Deliberation is for peace. Decision is for crisis. So Hamilton will once again remind readers of his essays here, Congress controls the purse. No army can exist longer than 2 years without public reapproval. The president commands, but the Congress funds. And so it's a double check. You got authority and accountability that are intertwined here, and power isn't unlimited. It's actually supervised. So in Hamilton's chain of logic here, chain of reasoning, if we tighten it down a bit, if we, divide defense between states, dividing it breeds jealousy and weakness. And the second point would be that national threats require national solutions. Defense must act swiftly, not by negotiation. His fourth point, Congress already restrains abuse through funding control. So therefore, the Army must belong to the Union and not the states. There's your summary. I did it for you. Now, Hamilton goes beyond strategy here. He begins to talk principle, and he insists that unity in defense isn't tyranny, it's actually fairness. All Americans deserve equal protection, and that requires a single system accountable to all. Fragmented defense means fragmented justice. So, Hamilton points to Europe, where confederacies have failed because member states distrusted each other more than their enemies. And he's warning that that liberty dies not from power that's concentrated, but from power that's divided beyond function. And so the Articles of Confederation had already proven that point. And he's saying, we've tried weakness. and it almost killed us. So Hamilton's logic still applies through every era of American history up until now. National security, disaster response, public health, the same principle happens to endure. When danger crosses state lines, the response must come from the Union. And so his vision of unity is through structure. And that's what allows liberty to survive conflict and not collapse underneath it. So our takeaways today are, one, that national defense must be unified in order to be effective. The second point would be that state control of the military invites chaos and imbalance. And then third, Hamilton's point here, his takeaway is, well, power, when it's shared wisely between Congress and the president, protects both safety and liberty. Federalist number 25 is Hamilton's blueprint for security through structure. He's reminding Americans that freedom isn't the absence of power, it's the responsible use of power. A union that cannot defend itself is a union that cannot endure. So, I'm Matt Hasquin, and this is another one of those things we should all know by being alive. If this helped you see how unity and vigilance protect liberty, please share it or follow or just, hey, you know what, just join me for Federalist number 26. And this is where Hamilton explains how the people themselves, through elections and oversight, remain the ultimate check on military power. Thanks for watching.